Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. I am here once again with another person that I think you guys will find interesting, like a moth to a flame. This is Ovid Amorison.
Yes.
Okay, Ovid Amorison, Ovid.
Yes.
Ovid.
Yes.
Sexy.
Yes.
This is a trans man, and we today, because we were involved in I was one of the presenters at the Trans Faith Summit. We have a ceremony where we give awards out to people who are making a difference, who are just beacons of light in what could sometimes be a bleak atmosphere. And Ovid was one of those people who received the youth award. Now, because a lot of the people in the conference are a little bit of age, and we ain't gonna call them old, but Ovid is
pioneers.
Pioneers. Ovid is actually 28, so he's not a spring chicken like myself. But we give honor to him today, and I wanted to share him with you all today. How long have you been in transition?
Let's see. Well, I started going to that group in like 2008. My physical transition has been for the past 2 years, on and off. So, but it's part of my, just my. I didn't rush into hormone therapy, but I'm one of these guys who wants to be a pregnant man one day. I really.
You're the opposite of me.
Yeah. I don't have my. I don't have my. I don't have that feeling of I'm trapped in the wrong body. Like I had trouble being comfortable in my body, but I've grown to accept my body and to, if really the cheapest way for me to have kids is for me to carry my own child.
This is my soul, man. In the sense of, you are how you think about your transition in that area is exactly how I think about it, because I never had a feeling what they call like they call it dysphoria.
Yeah.
I never had a feeling where like I wanted to cut it off wanted to harm myself because I hated my body so much. It never was that. I knew this wasn't right for me, but I didn't have a disdain for my body.
Yeah.
It wasn't a point of negativity for me. So, and when I think about children, it's something that I just have to figure out a person that I can do it with, and get over any kind of stuff that I got going on in my head with that part of it and create. But I think of it like, I'm a trans person. I was born a trans person. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm not trying to be a biological woman. I'm not trying to do these things. So this is what God blessed me with. This paradigm that I'm in, this is just like when I think about my sexual pleasure. This is what God gave me to receive sexual pleasure from. This is what God gave me to procreate with. And I can't change that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the tools that I have to create life. And that's how I think about it. Does that make me less of what I am? No, because I'm still a trans woman. That still does not. I think when you brought up the pregnant man, Thomas, that was on Oprah. When I see people talking about it, they come from a very disrespectful place. A lot of times, like when you see it on. See them discussing it. Well, if you're a pregnant man, then you're not real serious about your.
I've heard all kinds of stuff. For me, I think before I knew that I would grow into a man, I knew that I was called to be a father.
Right.
I did feel a little bit of dysphoria. As far as I think just I was aware of my body in a certain way, and then as puberty set in, I was like, oh, what's happening? And and I had certain things with my body. Well, I had certain things with my body, but I knew that I could not, like, I can't change the situation. This is the body, and like you were saying, like, this is the body that I was made to have, and so I rarely would ever identify myself as having a transition or like a gender journey. I always say it's like my spiritual journey, and part of my spiritual journey is my gender. So like through my connection with God, through my understanding myself, through my my steps of self-love, I'm able to understand and acknowledge my gender and my body, and that's I think I wouldn't be able to do that if I was not a spiritual person.
What I try to get across to people is that I liken it to people who do different type of ministries. People who their ministry is not at the pulpit. Their ministry is in the choir and doing that, like Maddie Moss Clark. People who have a dance ministry. People who are called to be that treasurer of the church because they have that mentality to be accountant and control things and organizations.
Right.
People have a ministry in different areas of life, and with us, it just so happened because we had that issue, like people in our past, because we have that expertise in being that two-spirited, like they call it Indian cultures, Native American culture, the Adodian African cultures, all that. We used to be those people, and we had that experience of having those two spirits. So that's where our ministry has called us.
Right.
And I feel like people like us accept it and go with it no matter how people are looking for us. So go ahead.
Yes. I was on those lines. Even before I was in a relationship, people seek relationship advice from me, and I'm like, what?
Prior.
And I guess it's because I have an understanding. Like I've just accepted it. It's like I have an understanding of how gender can be balanced in a certain way, and it's just so like that. Yeah, exactly what you were saying. I'm like, I mean, yes, I've been in relationships now, but even before that, I was like, why are you asking me about your boyfriend? I have no idea. I have no idea. Sorry, you need to keep it moving. That doesn't look good for you. But
right. I talked about that on my channel about how for some reason people would just confide in me about things that they just felt like I had an understanding on both binaries, male, female, middle, whatever. They would consult to me. Do you feel? This is a feeling that I have, so maybe you don't experience it, but because we're in that middle ground, that gray area, it seemed like a perfect place for us. But do you ever feel, you have to, that you are in the middle of being a traitor and an outcast because you're an outcast by the people who fit the gender norms like of Christianity and that kind of stuff, and no, they're saying no, God don't like that, but then by you proclaiming that you believe in this entity that is stereotypically against you, the people who have fell off from that and feel ostracized from that look at you as a traitor. Like, how could you feel that? Do you feel like you're in the middle of that, and how do you combat that?
I feel like I think when I was trying to understand myself and I guess give myself permission to be, as I started to understand that I'm like, okay, I'm attracted to girls, we're okay, like I feel very masculine. I started like looking at these verses, and all the they call them the clobber passages, all the verses that would say you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, or God does this, and I kept looking at them and they just didn't resonate. And I didn't, and that was when I sort of removed myself from the church situation. I was afraid that one day I would show up to church and like there would be a sermon preached against me or something like that. I had this fear, and it wasn't. I'd never been to a church where that has happened. And I think that's rare because I think a lot of LGBTQ people have had that experience, but I didn't have that, but I was afraid it was going to happen. And my favorite quote was, every day people are leaving church and going back to God. So I would be like, yeah, I'm all about God. And I developed myself spiritually. And I was able to get really grounded in, this is who I am, and this is my relationship with God. And whatever anyone else thinks or whatever anyone else believes, even if they can point to a place in the Bible and say it just doesn't match up with who I know myself to be as a child of God.
It's almost like, you're telling me something that is based in this material book. You're telling me something that is based in this material world. This whole, what you think is outside of me. What I do know is that I have a spirit, and that God speaks to me in spirit, and I can only speak to God through spirit. So therefore, if I'm a spirit, the spirit is without gender.
Yes.
At the end of the day. So these things on the outside that you are judging me by, the Bible says that God knows your heart. So all those spiritual things are the things that guide me. And like you said, if I don't feel, it could say God hates fags in this Bible. If that's not what I am feeling in my spirit, and I'm feeling this love and this energy coming to me through people, through me sharing my love with people, there's no way that you can get me to believe that. Even though it does not say something as hateful and specific as that. My spirit tells me, no, that's not the truth.
And it just, it like is a process of like exploring things for yourself. And I think in religion is such an easy place to get caught up in believing what you were told to believe.
And your pride.
And it's just like, oh, I can't just watch. Like I'm not that type of person. Like I had trouble in school because I wouldn't just like do what someone tells me. I always have to question what is going on, and it didn't fit right, But also part of what I'm learning is it was really hard for me, and like part of what my research led to, like thinking about spirituality and sexuality and gender and faith and religion and all these things, because I have all these intersections within myself. But when I was in queer spaces, they weren't very affirming of my background as a person who grew up in the Christian faith, or my current spirituality. And when I would put myself in religious places, I mean, of course there was just silence around it. So like I needed to seek out places where these intersections were visible and where there are other people who identify in the same manner talking about these things. There's one that's part of what led me to being able to be at this conference, also what led me to finding out about the Equality Ride.
Somebody was talking about when Moses came down from the bush, and God, he asked God before he came down, when God gave him the message to give to the Israelites, and he said, Moses said, well, what do I call you? What do I call you? And God said, I just am. I am. I am. I just want to be. I am. You don't have to, you don't need all of that.
It is, and that's really, and I heard that also this weekend, and I wish I had heard that a little earlier, because I've been like, there's so much like, oh, are you a trans person? Are you a man? Are you a human? Are you a trans man? Are you an FTM? And there's all these labels. And then if you add in sexuality, are you gay? Are you queer? Are you this? Are you straight? Are you that? And it's just, I just am myself. I'm just my name.
The reason why I do embrace labels, number one, maybe if I didn't fit in any one, I would be more uncomfortable with it. But when I address people, I like to be clear. I like to be clear. I like categorizing things because it organizes things in my mind, just for my personal stylist. So, but the type of person I am, if you tell me that you are something, I'm going to respect that. I think the problem comes when you don't respect somebody's label that they like or don't like.
Yeah.
So you don't label someone. They label themselves. And that's my thing. I like labels. I like you to tell me if you're a trans man. I like for you to tell me if you're a queer or you just that. I don't want a label type person. I'm that middle ground.
I would think I would be something, and I'd be like, oh, finally, like I have this box that I fit in, and then I would grow more, and I'd be like, oh, like, okay, I guess I have to add this part in too, and it was just like, it's like every couple of months I'd fit under a different label, and it was a lot. It's hard out here.
It is. So, with all these experiences, where do you want your legacy to grow? Like, where do you want it to go? What do you see yourself doing?
One of my I guess callings is to work with children. But I guess I also have this activist side. And I'm also I like to have knowledge and share it with people. I like to seek knowledge and share it with people. And so I'm working now on some book projects. There are some children's books out there for people to understand some aspect of transness. There are not a lot. I had a lot of kids in my class, and I babysit a lot of families, and as I transition, I would have liked to have like a book, a tool to give them about like how they can talk about, how we can have discussion around my gender or whatever the situation may be. So one of my projects is to create a children's book about trans identity from my perspective. Another thing that I'm doing, I just am going to continue working in Philadelphia to I don't know. There's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done.
Oh, it seems.
And I guess as long as I can do it, and as long as I feel like I'm still supposed to be doing it, I will continue to contribute what I can offer. And I don't know. I guess what another thing that I think a lot of us reach an adult age, but we still have a lot of stuff going on, and we are not functioning as healthy adults. Trans people, all kinds of LGBTQ people, and just humans in general. I think that we carry a lot of stuff with us. We are born into this world. We are a certain thing, and the world adds a lot of stuff onto us, and then we add stuff onto ourselves. We internalize all kinds of stuff. We pretend all kinds of ways. We wear all kinds of masks. And I really see myself going in a direction where I address things. Mental health, I mentioned, is a big concern for me. Having spaces where people can tell their stories, share their pain, seek healing, and help each other heal are really important to me. And some of the literary projects that I'm going to be working on, I hope will create spaces and and give language to address those sort of things. So I guess, and I want to be a daddy. So those are some future goals that I have.
When I come to this conference, I'm blessed to meet people that, like, wow, I have a team I'm a part of.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because sometimes in this life, it's really lonely. You feel like you're the only one treading through the sludge and through the waters upstream. And then when you come to conferences like this, it kind of re-energizes you and say, okay, I have a team. And this is the team I'm a part of.
I felt like when I came here last year, I through my Googling of trying to have this bridge of my faith and my identity as a trans person, I just like happened upon this conference, and it was just enough time for me to put in a scholarship, and I was so desperate to be here, and it was meant for me to be here, and so I got here, and the way I was treated by other people, I was seen, people, all kind of people, like some people I had known, but some people also, like people in Philly told other people that I would be here. All kinds of people were looking out for me. I actually had missed my plane, and I had to pay $50 to get a new
That's what I did this
thing.
year.
Oh, yes. So my pocket money that I had for food, I didn't have any food money.
Exactly what I did this year.
So, and I told, I mentioned that to someone. I didn't go hungry. I didn't go. I had a little deal with someone, so I helped them, and they fed me. Somebody gave me some drinks. And people were looking out for me. Financially, emotionally, and just saying like, hey, you're there, I see you, and I think it's a small enough space where that can happen, but it's also a big enough space where there's enough people that you can connect with. And when I left here last year, I had a really hard time of just adjusting to not being, and we were only here and I came late because I missed the flight, so I was only here for maybe 2 days, but I'm sure it was less than that. And just the amount of affirmation that I felt in that short amount of time, I felt really cared about. And not that I don't feel cared about by other people, but it was just really intense and really intentional.
Really
and it felt
intentional
really good.
And like the whole, just you speaking right now, the whole conference, and I've told y'all this before, when you're in certain group settings, now of course there's some that's just fun and lively and just having fun, but there's certain times when it's so rich and so thick that my whole body is reacting.
Yes.
I'm getting goosebumps, my eyes is watering up, that whole emotionality, and I ain't been on hormones in years, so it's not that.
Yeah, and it's also a struggle that I've had is a struggle of being present, and here is a space where I can be present, and I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to turn on my drive to be present. I'm here, and we talk about I think this year we focused in a couple of sessions about this is a painful journey, and not trying to come here and get all cute and pretend like our lives are daisies and I don't know. Whatever.
We don't talk about 101.
Goodness, yes. We don't have to say, oh, this is what a trans person is. I think there's to some extent, but I think it's very clear that this is not a space where we're trying to explain who we are. This is a space where we can come and unpack what's going on and be in the company of people who share a similar experience.
Share a similar experience.
Oh my goodness,
open to understand, open to discussing solution, open to putting their energy in changing the atmosphere of why we have to unpack this shit. Why we have to unpack it. And that is a beautiful thing.
It is so it's such a privilege to be here. And I really think, you're asking me why I earned that award, I really honestly, I don't know if we're cosmically, think that I earned it because I didn't have any other way to get here. I didn't, because because of being on the ride, my finances are all backed up. I hadn't worked for a little while, and I just don't have the money to be here. And I got a scholarship last year, and I wasn't going to ask for another one again this year. I was supposed to find my own way, and so I just said, I guess it's not meant for me to be here this year. And they're like, oh, we're going to give you an award, and I was like, what? Oh my goodness, I guess that means that I can be here again, And it was real in my heart, I feel like that's why it was there. It was a word that was made up so that I could be here.
Right.
But
the energy, the secret and that cause and effect and energy thing came your way.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for talking to me.
I definitely appreciate it. This is your girl Diamond. I'm gonna put his information. I'm gonna get his information and put it down in the info box. Show him some love, and I want to thank you all for watching. This is Avid, and I am Diamond.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Take care.